After 60, staying active is one of the best things you can do for your health. But here's the hidden danger. Many common exercises that seem helpful are actually speeding up the wear and tear on your joints and spine. It usually starts small. A little stiffness in your knees, a pinch in your back, a shoulder that doesn't feel quite right. Over time, those small warning signs can turn into real injuries that limit your independence and keep you from enjoying life. And this has nothing to do with weakness or aging alone. The real issue is that certain popular exercises place unnecessary stress on ligaments, tendons, and discs that naturally become more vulnerable as the years go by. That's why in today's guide, you'll discover 10 exercises that accelerate joint and spine damage after 60. And, more importantly, the safer alternatives you should be doing instead. The first exercise you should avoid is the traditional crunch. This is probably the most common abdominal exercise of all time. Lying on the floor, hands behind the head, and lifting the chest repeatedly. At first glance, it seems harmless, but for anyone over 60, it's a recipe for trouble. Every time you curl your trunk forward, the lumbar discs are unevenly compressed, pushing them backward. With age, these discs are already more fragile and dehydrated, which makes the repetitive bending motion a serious risk for herniation or chronic lower back pain. On top of that, many people pull on their neck as they perform the crunch, creating tension in the cervical spine. And here's another important point. The crunch mainly trains the superficial six-pack muscles, but does very little for the deep core muscles that are truly responsible for spinal stability. A far safer and more effective alternative is the modified plank. Unlike the crunch, the plank doesn't repeatedly flex the spine. Instead, it engages all the abdominal muscles at once, including the deep stabilizers, while keeping the back in a neutral position. This makes it one of the most functional and protective core exercises for older adults. To do it correctly, start by placing your forearms on a sturdy surface. This could be the floor, but for beginners, it's best to use an elevated surface, like a bench or even a wall. Position your body in a straight line from shoulders to hips, and keep your belly gently pulled in as if bracing. Hold the position while breathing steadily. Exhale slowly as you tighten the core, then inhale deeply without letting your lower back sag. The most common mistakes are arching the lower back, lifting the hips too high, or holding your breath. Remember, the goal isn't to suffer through the longest plank possible. It's to maintain proper alignment for the time you can control, even if that's just 10 to 20 seconds at the start. Another exercise that may look simple but actually causes more harm than good is the Superman. The idea behind it is to strengthen the lower back by lying face down and lifting both arms and legs at the same time, as if you were flying. But the truth is that this position creates extreme compression in the lumbar spine. Instead of protecting your back, it forces the vertebrae and discs into hyperextension, which is especially dangerous after 60, when these structures are already more fragile and less elastic. Many people also lift their head too high during the Superman, which overloads the neck and adds even more strain to the spine. What looks like a safe move for your back often ends up accelerating wear and tear. A far safer and much more effective alternative is the bird dog. Unlike the Superman, the bird dog trains real stability instead of forcing the spine into unnatural positions. By keeping your back neutral, you strengthen the deep core muscles that protect the spine, improve balance, and train coordination. All things that become more and more valuable as you age. Here's how to do it correctly. Start on all fours, with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Tighten your core gently, as if bracing. Now extend your right arm forward and your left leg backward at the same time, keeping your back flat and your head aligned with the rest of your body. Exhale as you reach out, then inhale as you bring the arm and leg back to the starting position. Switch sides and repeat slowly, alternating with control. The key here is precision, not speed. Don't let your lower back arch, don't twist your hips, and don't try to lift your arm and leg too high. Think of reaching long, not lifting. If the full version feels difficult at first, simply extend one arm at a time or one leg at a time until you build strength to combine both. And if you think this one was surprising, wait until you see what's coming next. One of the most common shoulder exercises you often see in gyms is the upright row. At first, it looks like a great move for building strong shoulders. You hold a barbell or dumbbells in front of you and pull them straight up toward your chin. But for anyone over 60, this movement can be one of the worst choices. The problem lies in the position it forces your shoulders into. As the elbows rise above the wrists, the space inside the shoulder joint narrows dramatically. This squeezes the tendons of the rotator cuff against the bone, a condition known as impingement. With age, those tendons are already more fragile and prone to inflammation, which means the upright row can quickly lead to pain, tendonitis, or even tears. To make matters worse, many people perform it with heavy weight, straining not only the shoulders but also the neck. A much safer alternative that works the same muscles without the risk is the lateral raise. Instead of pulling a bar up close to your body, you lift your arms out to the sides in a natural arc. This keeps the shoulders in a more open position, reducing compression and allowing the deltoid muscles to do the work they're meant to do. To perform the lateral raise, hold a pair of light dumbbells, water bottles, or resistance bands by your sides. With a slight bend in your elbows, slowly lift your arms out to the sides until they reach shoulder height. Exhale as you lift. Inhale as you lower with control. Keep your shoulders relaxed, don't shrug, and never swing the weights. The movement should feel smooth and steady. Common mistakes to avoid: lifting the arms too high above the shoulders, using momentum by jerking the weights, or arching the lower back. Remember, this is an isolation exercise. Less weight with more control is far more effective. If you need an easier adaptation, perform the movement seated or lift one arm at a time to reduce the effort. Even with very light resistance, the deltoids will activate strongly, and over time your shoulder stability and strength will improve without putting your joints at risk. The next exercise looks innocent. In fact, many coaches still recommend it as a way to improve mobility and flexibility. It's called the bodyweight windmill. One arm pointed up, the other reaching down toward your foot, twisting and bending at the same time. Sounds like a great way to loosen your body, right? But here's the shocking truth. For anyone over 60, this move is a silent spine destroyer. Why? Because it combines the two worst things you can do to an aging back: side bending and rotation at the same time. That twisting compression grinds away at the discs of your lower spine. And while you're doing that, your shoulder is forced into an overhead position that demands flexibility most older adults simply don't have anymore. The result? Instead of improving mobility, the windmill puts you on the fast track to back pain, shoulder strain, and even loss of balance that could cause a fall. But here's the good news. You can still get all the benefits the windmill promises: stronger obliques, a more mobile torso, better flexibility, without risking your joints. The safer, smarter alternative is the standing rotation. With this move, you keep both feet firmly on the ground, your core stable, and your spine protected. All you do is rotate the torso in a slow, controlled motion, exhaling as you turn, inhaling as you return. It's simple, it's functional, and it directly trains the exact movement you need in daily life, like turning to grab something behind you or twisting to check your blind spot while driving. And the best part? If balance is an issue, you can make it even safer by performing the standing rotation seated in a chair. You'll still build mobility and core strength, but in a way that's joint-friendly and tailored for life after 60. So remember, what looks like a mobility booster can actually be a mobility killer. Skip the bodyweight windmill and stick to standing rotations. Your spine, your shoulders, and your independence will thank you. The next exercise is one of the most misleading machines in the gym: the leg extension. At first it feels safe. You sit down, lock your legs under the padded bar, and extend your knees against the weight. Many older adults trust this machine because it looks simple and controlled. But here's the truth. For aging joints, the leg extension is one of the worst choices you can make. Why? Because it forces all the stress directly onto the front of the knee joint, especially the patella. Instead of sharing the work across your hips and glutes, it isolates the quadriceps and pushes the knee into an unnatural path. Over time, this repeated strain wears down the cartilage, irritates tendons, and accelerates arthritis. And the worst part? It doesn't even build useful, functional strength for daily life. When was the last time you needed to kick a heavy weight straight out in front of you? A much safer and smarter alternative is the horizontal leg press. This machine places you in a seated position with your back supported and your feet pushing straight forward. It still strengthens your quadriceps, but also engages your hips and glutes, distributing the load more naturally and protecting your knees. Because the movement is more controlled and the angle is less extreme, it's far gentler on aging joints than the leg extension. Here's how to do it. Sit comfortably with your back firmly against the seat and your feet shoulder-width apart on the platform. Select a light weight to begin, just enough to feel your muscles working without straining. Exhale as you press the platform forward, then inhale as you slowly bend your knees to return. Always keep your lower back against the support. Never lock out your knees at the top, and avoid bringing your knees too close to your chest. Another exercise that many people still believe is essential, but that can quickly damage your joints after 60, is the deep squat with a barbell. On paper, it sounds like the ultimate lower body builder. Heavy load, full range of motion, legs and glutes working hard. But in practice, this movement is one of the fastest ways to wear down your knees and spine as you age. Here's why. Dropping into a deep squat places massive pressure on the knee joints, especially the meniscus and cartilage behind the kneecap. For younger lifters with resilient joints, that stress may not show up immediately. But after 60, when cartilage is thinner and tendons are less elastic, that deep angle grinds the joint surfaces in a way that accelerates arthritis and pain. At the same time, holding a barbell on your back adds compression to the spine. And if hip mobility isn't perfect, which is very common with aging, the body compensates by rounding the lower back, creating even more strain on the discs. A much smarter and safer alternative is the chair squat. This exercise mimics the natural and functional movement of sitting down and standing up, something every older adult needs to keep doing with confidence. It works the same muscles, quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and core, but in a controlled, joint-friendly way. Here's how to do it correctly. Stand in front of a sturdy chair with your feet shoulder-width apart. Slowly lower your body back as if you're about to sit, keeping your chest tall and your knees aligned with your toes. Gently touch the chair with your hips, then press through your heels to stand back up. Exhale as you rise, inhale as you lower. Don't let your knees cave inward, don't plop down onto the chair, and keep your movement slow and controlled. If needed, place the chair against a wall so it won't move. Over time, as your strength and confidence improve, you can progress to doing the same movement without fully sitting down, simply using the chair as a safety point. The seventh exercise you should avoid is the traditional lunge. The problem lies in two things: balance and pressure. The lunge forces you to support your body weight on one leg at a time, which challenges stability in a way that becomes risky after 60. Even a small loss of balance can cause a fall, and falls are one of the biggest dangers to older adults. At the same time, the deep angle of the front knee creates heavy stress on the joint and patella, which accelerates pain and cartilage wear. And because the back knee is bent sharply, it can strain the hip flexors as well. A much safer alternative is the mini lunge. Instead of stepping far forward and dropping into a deep position, you take a shorter step and bend the knees only slightly. This activates the same muscles, quadriceps, glutes, and hips, but with far less strain and no need for extreme balance. To make it even safer, hold onto a wall or the back of a chair for support. Think of it as a gentler version of the lunge that still keeps your legs strong without putting your joints at risk. Another excellent option is the step up on a low platform. This movement strengthens the same muscles, but in a way that directly mirrors everyday life, climbing stairs. It allows you to control both height and intensity, reducing the risk of falling and the pressure on your knees. Here's how to do it. Stand in front of a stable, low step or platform. Place one foot fully on the step, press through your heel, and lift your body up until your leg is straight. Exhale as you rise, then inhale as you slowly step back down. Repeat several times on one side before switching legs, or alternate sides if you prefer. Start with a very low step, even just a few inches off the ground. Move slowly, and if you need extra stability, hold onto a railing, a wall, or the back of a sturdy chair. Avoid bouncing or rushing. The goal is smooth, controlled motion. Over time, as strength and confidence build, you can raise the step height slightly, but remember, it's always better to go slow and safe than to push too hard. The next dangerous exercise is the deadlift. The deadlift requires you to bend forward, grip a heavy bar from the ground, and then stand up straight with it. The problem is the enormous compressive load this places on the lower back. Each time you lean forward under weight, the pressure on the lumbar discs multiplies. It doesn't stop there. To perform the deadlift safely, you need excellent hip mobility to keep your spine neutral. But as mobility declines with age, most people end up rounding their backs instead. And that's an open invitation to injury. Even the knees can suffer when heavy loads are lifted without perfect technique. A much safer alternative that teaches the same movement pattern is the light hip hinge. This variation strengthens your glutes, hamstrings, and lower back, just like the deadlift, but without the extreme spinal stress. Here's how to do it. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and hold a light weight, such as a broomstick, resistance band, or small dumbbells. Keep a soft bend in your knees, hinge forward at the hips, and push your hips back as if closing a door with your glutes. Keep your spine straight, your chest slightly lifted, and your core engaged. Exhale as you hinge forward. Inhale as you return to standing. The focus is on control, not heavy weight. Don't round your lower back, don't force the range of motion, and keep the weight light enough to move smoothly. Think about using your hips, not your spine, to guide the movement. The next exercise you should avoid after 60 is intense running on the treadmill. For years, running has been praised as the ultimate cardiovascular workout. And while it can build endurance, for older adults, it often does more harm than good. The problem is the impact. Every stride sends shockwaves through your knees, hips, and spine. Over time, this pounding accelerates arthritis, aggravates back pain, and increases the risk of overuse injuries. And there's another hidden danger: balance. Running on a moving belt demands quick reactions, and a single misstep can lead to a fall with serious consequences. Many older adults push themselves to run because they think it's the only way to stay fit, not realizing they're putting their health and independence on the line. A much safer and equally effective alternative is brisk walking, or the elliptical trainer. Both give you the cardiovascular benefits of running: stronger heart, better stamina, improved circulation, but with a fraction of the joint stress. Brisk walking, especially with purpose and arm swing, strengthens the legs, improves posture, and burns calories while keeping impact low. The elliptical is even gentler, offering a smooth gliding motion that spares the knees and hips while still giving a challenging workout. With both options, you reduce the risk of falls and keep your training sustainable long-term. Tips for walking safely: wear supportive shoes, choose even surfaces or a treadmill with handrails, and aim for a pace that elevates your heart rate but still allows conversation. Tips for the elliptical: keep your posture upright, use light resistance, and focus on smooth, steady motion instead of speed. Before we reveal the final exercise, I want to hear from you. How old are you, and what has your experience been with the exercises we've mentioned so far? Have you ever been injured doing one of them? Share your story in the comments. It could help a lot of people. The last exercise you should avoid is sit-up. For decades, it has been considered the classic move to train the abs, but in reality, it brings far more harm than benefit once you're over 60. The sit-up's goal is to strengthen your core by lifting the torso from the ground, yet the way it does, this places enormous stress on the lower back and neck. Each time you roll forward, the spinal discs are compressed, and with age, these discs naturally lose fluid and resilience, making them much more prone to herniation. On top of that, most people unknowingly pull on their neck while doing the movement, which strains the cervical spine. Instead of building stability, the sit-up ends up creating pain and long-term damage. A much better alternative is the dead bug. This exercise is safer, more functional, and actually more effective at engaging the deep abdominal muscles that protect the spine. Here, you're not forcing the back into repeated bending, but instead training stability and coordination, which is exactly what older adults need to prevent injuries and stay independent. To perform the dead bug, lie on your back with your arms reaching toward the ceiling and your knees bent at 90 degrees. Slowly extend your right arm and left leg toward the floor while keeping your lower back gently pressed against the mat. Exhale as you extend, then inhale as you bring them back to the starting position. Alternate sides in a slow and controlled rhythm. This movement may look simple, but when done correctly, it powerfully strengthens the core without stressing the spine. There are a few key things to watch out for. Do not let your lower back arch off the floor, don't rush the repetitions, and never hold your breath. Breathing is essential. Every exhale activates your abdominal wall and keeps the core engaged. If this version feels too difficult, you can adapt by lowering just one limb at a time. For example, only the arm or only the leg, until you build enough strength to combine both. I hope you enjoyed this content and found it useful. To keep building strength and protecting your body as you age, don't stop here. Click on the next video appearing on your screen. It's packed with powerful daily stretches that every senior should be doing. I'll see you there.